Did you know the average employee gets only 3% raise while job hoppers score 20 to 30% salary jumps on average? The corporate ladder is so broken, and climbing it is making you broke. You need to stop climbing the ranks at a single company and do this one strategy instead that I'm about to share that has allowed me to more than 5x my salary over 5 years and has given me career opportunities that most people my age could never dream of. The corporate game has totally changed, and those who know the new rules are winning big. Stop trying to climb the corporate ladder at your company in 2025. The corporate game has changed, and those who know the new rules are winning big. I spent years going from job to job, but it was only once I realized what I'm about to teach you that I was able to 5x my salary in 5 years. And the first thing you need to realize is this stat. The average employee gets a measly 3% raise each year, while job hopping gets you a 20 to 30% raise on average. And if that's not bad enough, let's not forget that there are limited spots at the top, political games, and you're literally waiting for someone to retire or quit before you can move up in a company. Meanwhile, the people who have figured out the new rules, they're not waiting for anyone's permission. So let me show you exactly what the difference between staying loyal versus regularly switching companies looks like in real dollars, because when I ran these numbers for myself, I was kind of shook. Okay, let's use some hypothetical numbers to show you what loyalty actually costs you. Let's say that you start with a 60K salary, and let's assume that you get a 3% raise into year 2. So year 2 will look like a 62K. That's a 3% raise. And then let's say you're doing well heading into your 3rd year, and so you get a 5% raise, and let's throw in a small promotion. So year 3 will look like 65. Year 4, you get another measly 3% raise to earn 67K. 5, let's say you are rewarded for your loyalty and you get a 6% raise, so you are looking at 71K. And then heading into year 6, you get another typical 3% raise to earn 73K. Year 7, it's another promotion year, so you get a 5% raise this time. Year 8, you get the drill, another 3% raise to earn 79K. Year 9, it's another promotion year, so you're going to get a 5% raise from your company. And then year 10, decade as a working professional, let's say you get a little bit more than the typical 3% and you get a 4% raise. The total earnings over 10 years, you have 723K in the bank. This is the loyal employee path. Now let's compare that to the employee who does diagonal climbing. And let's start year 1 with the same 60K, and year 2, they are already getting on top of the diagonal climbing, and they've made their first jump to another company, earning a 20% raise from that jump. That has been the average percentage increase of each of my jumps across companies, so that checks out. Then year 3, they are staying put at this new company, and they have made a 3% raise, taking them to 74K. Year 4, this employee is jumping again and making a whopping 23% raise. Year 5, they get another small raise of 3%. Year 6, you get the gist here. They are making another jump. They get to 118K with a 24% increase. Year 7, they are staying put at their 3rd company, making 123K with a 3% jump. Year 8, it's time for their 4th jump, and they are going to make 147K at this 4th company with a 20% increase. Year 9, of course, staying put again. They are making 154K with that 3% increase. And then by year 10, you guessed it, they are jumping again, making 185K with another 20% increase. The grand total across all 10 years is 1,119,000. This is the diagonal climber. And if we take the difference between these two employees, we have 1,119,000 minus 723,000. That is a difference of $396,000 in cumulative earnings across 10 years between these two very different different approaches that the employees have taken. And that is just the first 10 years. This gap gets exponentially bigger over time because you are compounding from this much higher base. I bought into the corporate ladder myth for years. Work hard, keep your head down, wait for your annual 3 to 5% raise, maybe get promoted if you're patient enough. I did exactly what they told me. And you know what I got from that? I burned out, I was underpaid, and I was watching less qualified people get promoted over me because they knew how to play the game better. Here's what nobody tells you. While you are being loyal, the market rate for your skills is exploding around you. In my first corporate role as an analyst, I was making $70K after 2 years of exceeding expectations, but there wasn't a single raise the entire time I was there. At the end of those 2 years though, I was passed over for a promotion that I thought was just standard at that amount of time at the firm. And that was my final straw. When I finally started looking around, I discovered that people my age were making $90K, 6 figures, even twice as much as I was. So just 2 years of loyalty had cost me tens of thousands of dollars on the table. But here's the thing, when I finally made the jump to a competitor firm, they offered me $90K and a senior title. Same skills, same experience. The only difference was I stopped waiting for my current company to recognize my value and started making the market pay for it. The corporate ladder isn't just slow, it's designed to keep you trapped. Companies have loyal employees because they're predictable and cheap. That's when I discovered what I now call climbing diagonally. So instead of waiting for promotions at one company, you make your own promotions by switching companies. You're still moving up, you're just doing it on your own terms, faster, and with way more control and money. Here is how it worked for me. So instead of waiting 2 years to maybe become a senior analyst at my company, I leveraged my current experience to get that senior title at another company for 30% more money. 9 months later, I jumped again to completely change my career and become a data scientist with a 21% salary. Each move was a significant step up in responsibility, compensation, and also a step toward my career goals. And it's not just about the money, though the money is incredible. Each company taught me different systems, different approaches, different ways of thinking about problems. By the time I was ready to start my own business, I had a toolkit that was formed from multiple companies and experiences, and also a network that could vouch for me and support me at every new step. I realized that these career moves don't just take you up a few levels, they completely transform who you are professionally. Those strategic jumps teach you who you are and what you're capable of in ways that slowly climbing the traditional corporate ladder never could. That experience taught me that I could succeed anywhere, which gave me the confidence to eventually leave corporate altogether last year. Okay, so let me tell you exactly how to do this diagonal climbing, because I've been on both sides as a person jumping and also as someone who has interviewed people who were climbing diagonally. The first rule I learned the hard way: never job hunt from desperation. The moves that doubled my income happened when I was actually performing well in my current role. When you are succeeding and confident, you interview from a position of strength. And here's the strategy that actually works. I call it the promotion then jump method. You get promoted at your current company first, then immediately start exploring what that new title is worth elsewhere. Your company just validated that you are ready for more responsibility, so now you have to make the market pay for it. And this part is crucial. Start building your external reputation before you need it. I wish someone had told me this earlier. You need to be sharing insights on LinkedIn, speaking at industry events, building relationships across companies. When I finally started doing this, before I needed a new job, recruiters started coming to me instead of me chasing opportunities. And the timing piece is everything. The sweet spot I discovered is 12 to 18 months in a role. And yes, that is probably shorter than what most career gurus out there would recommend, but I realized that's long enough to show real results, but short enough that you're not getting stagnant. Any shorter and you look flighty, and any longer and you're probably leaving money and learning opportunities on the table. Now, I know exactly what you're probably thinking because I had all of these same fears, but what about job security? Here's what I learned. So job security is an illusion. I have watched my companies let go of people who had been there for decades and also people who had been there for less than a month. Your real security comes from your ability to create value anywhere and having options everywhere. Won't I look like a job hopper? Only if you're sloppy about it. When I was interviewing candidates who had history of job hopping, shopping, I loved seeing candidates who had moved strategically. It showed their ambition, adaptability, and that they knew their worth. And the key was that they made sure each move that they made tied back to their overall story of growth. And what about, I like my current team? Yes, relationships matter, but here's what I discovered. Your real work friends will stay in your life regardless. I still grab coffee monthly with my favorite colleagues from 3 jobs ago. Plus, I've built a much larger network by working with multiple teams across my career. And here's the truth. Staying at a company for colleagues is like staying in a bad relationship because the sex is good. You deserve the whole package. So here's what I want you to do today, not tomorrow, today. These are the exact steps that changed my career. Step 1, audit your current market value. Look up your role at other companies. What are they paying? What skills are they looking for that you might not have? This isn't to depress you. It's just to show you the opportunities that are out there. Step 2, update your LinkedIn like your career depends on it, because it does. Start sharing insights, connecting with industry leaders, commenting thoughtfully. Think of LinkedIn as your professional storefront. And if you don't know how to do that, I have linked my free mini course in the caption below, where I talk you through the ABCs of optimizing your LinkedIn profile to attract job opportunities. And then step 3, start having conversations, not interviews, just conversations, okay? Coffee chats with people doing work that you find interesting. These relationships will absolutely transform your career more than any skill you could learn, because you are learning from the people who have had their boots on the ground. And I know this all feels risky. I was terrified every time I made a huge jump, but each one taught me that I was capable of more than I thought, and always worked out for the better in the end. The confidence that I gained at each jump eventually gave me the courage to leave corporate entirely and bet on myself, which was definitely the scariest jump out of the many I have made in my entire career. So here's what I wish someone had told me 5 years ago. Your career is your responsibility, not your company's. I wasted years waiting for other people to recognize my value instead of going out there and demanding what I was worth. The corporate ladder was designed for a world that just doesn't exist anymore, where people got pensions and gold watches. We are living in a gig economy right now, even if you have a traditional job. So start thinking like an entrepreneur, even while you are an employee with a 9-to-5 job. Climbing diagonally isn't about being disloyal, it's about being strategic. It's about taking control instead of hoping someone else will hand you those opportunities. It's about building the career you actually want instead of the one they tell you to want. I went from 70K to 180K in 4 years following this strategy. And then I left to start my own business in the 5th year, and I now make almost 500K while working half-time for myself. But none of that would have been possible if I hadn't first learned to value myself and demand what I was worth. You are capable of so much more than your current situation is probably letting you show. Stop climbing up, start climbing diagonally. Your future self will definitely thank you. If this video helped shift how you think about your career, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.